All right, let's get right into it. The master of the thriller, Dan Brown, is back. In 2025, our favorite professor, Robert Langdon, makes his big return. And this time, he's getting dropped right into the middle of the magical, Gothic streets of Prague. We're talking ancient mysticism clashing head-on with some seriously cutting-edge science. This is going to be good.
Whoa. Okay, so the book kicks off with that line, right from the prologue. It's chilling. We're thrown right into this brilliant neuroscientist's head as she's having a terrifying out-of-body experience, remembering being tortured by this monstrous figure. I mean, what a way to start. It totally sets the tone for the entire mystery.
And right there, that's the heart of it. This is the core of the entire novel. You know, forget all the ancient church conspiracies for a minute. This time, Dan Brown is going for the big one, the ultimate human question. What happens after we die? I mean, that's a question that connects every single one of us, no matter who you are or when you lived. All right, so our story kicks off in Prague, a truly enchanting city. But, well, for Robert Langdon, things are about to get very, very messy. It's going to be a living nightmare.
So the event that kicks this whole thing off, it's brutal. It's straight out of a horror movie. A brilliant neuroscientist, Dr. Brigitte Gessner, is found dead. And not just dead, tortured. The killer? Some kind of monstrous figure covered in clay, with ancient letters carved into his forehead, who, get this, calls himself her protector. Yeah, this is the moment that starts the clock ticking on Langdon's crazy race against time.
And boom, just like that, Langdon is in deep trouble. So here's the situation he's in. He's in Prague because an old friend, a scientist named Catherine Solomon, invited him. He wakes up from this, precognitive dream about an explosion, only to find a real bomb in his hotel room. Of course, the police show up, and who do they think is the prime suspect? Robert Langdon. His only escape? A classic Langdon move, a desperate jump right into the freezing Vltava River. You just can't make this stuff up.
Okay, so Langdon is on the run. And this is where we meet our antagonists and start to realize, this whole thing is way, way bigger than just one murder.
Listen to this. He does not understand you as I do. No one can. Super creepy, right? That's the voice inside the assassin's head. He calls himself the Golem, from the old Prague legend. And he's completely convinced that he's Catherine Solomon's one true protector. He's ready to take out anyone he even thinks is a threat. And right now, that includes Robert Langdon.
So you've got this golem monster hunting Langdon through the city, which is intense enough. But then we find out what the real stakes are. Catherine Solomon's manuscript, the one with her groundbreaking research, it's been stolen. This is the stuff that could literally change the world. So yeah, this is so much more than a simple chase. It's a race to protect a secret that some very powerful people are willing to kill for. Now we get to the part where Dan Brown does what he does best. He takes all this thrilling action and mixes it with these absolutely mind-bending ideas. The story is about to pivot to the incredible and kind of weird science that's really at the heart of all this. Okay, first concept you need to know, Noetic Science. This is Catherine Solomon's specialty. And what is it? Well, it's basically the scientific study of stuff we normally think of as, mystical. Things like intuition, consciousness, the real power of our minds. They're trying to study it like you'd study physics or chemistry. And that brings us to the biggest idea in the whole book, non-local consciousness. So get this, the theory is that your consciousness, your you-ness, isn't actually created inside your brain. Nope. The idea is that consciousness is a fundamental field that exists everywhere in the universe. Kind of like gravity. And your brain is just an antenna, a biological receiver that's tuning in to this cosmic broadcast of consciousness. Wild, right? And this is the bombshell. This is what's in Catherine's stolen research. Her experiments seem to prove that the brain doesn't just predict reality. It's as if it creates it. I mean, think about that for a second. This is an idea that's been in spiritual teachings for thousands of years, but now it looks like modern science might actually be proving it's true. The implications of that are just staggering. Okay, so let's follow that thought. If consciousness can actually shape reality, what do you think a government would do with that kind of power? Yeah, this is where we get to the terrifying secret at the very center of this whole conspiracy. And it all boils down to this really dark question, the one that's driving the villains. Can a human soul be turned into a weapon? I mean, if consciousness can leave the body, can you control it? Could you use it to spy on people? Could you weaponize it?
The answer, my friends, is Project Threshold. It's a top-secret CIA program, basically a death lab. And get this, it's the successor to the infamous Stargate psychic spy program, which was a real thing, by the way. Their goal is to figure out how to induce and control out-of-body experiences. Why? Because their ultimate goal is to weaponize the human soul, to turn it into the ultimate tool for gathering intelligence. It sounds like science fiction, but it's also deeply, deeply terrifying.
All right, we've had the chases, we've had the codes, we've had the conspiracies. Now we're at the end. The book is about to deliver its final, really profound revelations that tie this whole crazy story together. And here it is, the big twist, the one that flips the whole story on its head. Are you ready? The Golem, that monstrous assassin who's been hunting Langdon, is Catherine Solomon. Yep, it's her. Well, not her consciously. It's a protective alternate personality that her mind created because of some horrible trauma in her past. So how does that even work? Well, this is where the story gets grounded in some very real-world psychology. The Golem is an alternate personality, a product of what's known as dissociative identity disorder, or DID. It's a very real, very complex coping mechanism. Basically, when someone goes through trauma that's too much to bear, the mind can split, creating a separate identity, a protector, to handle the pain so the original person can survive. So what this twist reveals is the book's core message, this huge philosophical shift. It's about reframing how we look at, well, everything. Look at the old view versus the new view. The old way, death is this scary absolute end, consciousness is just something our brain does, and the soul is just a religious idea. But the new view, death is just a change in how we perceive things. Consciousness is fundamental to the universe itself, and the soul, that's a field of energy we can actually study. It's a massive change in perspective.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? The ultimate secret of secrets. It's not some dark hidden conspiracy. It's actually a message of incredible hope. The book is basically saying that humanity's biggest enemy isn't some villain. It's our own fear of death. And if we, as a species, can finally get over that fear, we can actually evolve into something better.
And this isn't just something Dan Brown made up. This idea has roots in the real world. He leans on actual thinkers like the psychiatrist Stanislav Grof. And his whole thing was that removing the fear of death completely alters how a person exists in the world. It makes us less aggressive, more connected to each other, more compassionate. It changes everything.
And that's the question the entire adventure leaves us with. That is the secret of secrets. After all the running, all the symbols, all the science, we're left with this one thought. What if our greatest fear is just a giant misunderstanding? What if death isn't the end we're so afraid of? What if it's just a doorway, a change in perception? Something to think about, for sure.